Hello and welcome to our weekly catch-up with Bill Hubard, Chief Economist at Markets.com. Thanks again for coming in, Bill. I thought this week was going to be pretty quiet with the Olympics and things like that, but there has been a lot that's happened since we last spoke. First of all, non-farm payrolls complemented quite nicely as well by the initial jobless claims that are out today.
I think the best case scenario is we've bottomed out. The question is, how long will we stay on the bottom? And I think this is one of the things that you have to look with the number. It wasn't as bad as expected, but it's okay. But the key thing you have to look at is we did see 8.2 to 8.3. So what we're looking at is the people that quoted said, well, there are no jobs for me, so I've stopped looking. But one of the things that possibly helped this month versus the previous month is the previous month we had a 25,000% increase, a 25,000 increase in temporary jobs. That was halved. So that was positive. Also, the simple fact is they didn't lay off as many people because of retooling for the automobile industry. So we could be heading into the next couple of months for at least a slight improvement.
Okay, well that's obviously good for Mr. Obama.
Yes.
Hopes. Now, that sort of leads us on to the sort of UK situation. Of course, Mervyn King.
Sure.
Again, I do apologise, but he obviously no surprise that he reduced his forecast. So what does that mean for the UK labour market, which of course has been showing signs of improvement so far this year, but that can't be sustainable?
Well, I think one of the things is when we got, the 0.7% drop in the GDP numbers, one of the things that Sir Mervyn said, basically he said the unemployment numbers and also the regional, because they have like 4,000 regional detectives that go around and say, well, how are things in your community? Those numbers didn't jive because if you believed that the -7%, it would have showed a decrease or an increase of unemployment of about 200,000, where we'd seen an absolute drop of 100,000. So this is starting to stabilize. But I think what he told us is at least something I felt. Best case scenario for 2012 will be flatlining. But one of the things that he at least came and realized where all the doom and gloomers were saying a couple of months ago with the drought in the US and a massive increase in corn and wheat, that we'd probably see 2.4, 2.5% inflation in the first quarter of next year. He discounted that. He said basically inflation is only going one way, and that's down.
Yeah, and so do you think that his projections for growth next year in 2014, 2%, is that really going to happen?
I don't think so. But I don't think anybody believes it either, okay? So, if you'd come out and say like 4 or 5, then everybody said no. Because 1.8, 2, 2.1, it's still in a situation where we're not coming out. Now, the key thing is going to be is, after all the hoopla and the fun and games of the Olympics, how many of these 50, 60, 70, I don't know how many thousands of temps all of a sudden can go into some kind of permanent. And I guess one of the things where I look at, I'm far more interested in sort of what's happening in the Southwest. And things are not improving in Bristol, in Bath, in Swindon, in Salisbury, okay, which is right or wrong. The UK is not London, it's the regional towns and villages, and we're still struggling.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. And I suppose we've focused on the US and the UK. Today we had trade balance figures from both. Definitely a great divide there.
And I think that's one of the keys. And I think the key thing here in the UK is we've seen almost a safe haven run into sterling, okay? But it's euro sterling, not dollar sterling. But again, sterling at 155, this is much too strong, and we truly saw it today, especially euro sterling, with the increase. Yeah. Or negative net numbers on the trade numbers in the UK, especially since 40-50% of our exports go to the Eurozone. So that was a negative. Yet, as you said, from a US standpoint, it was another positive number that things are improving. Because, right or wrong, most countries now, with the slowdown, what business they're doing is from an external standpoint rather than internal. This was a positive number for the US, a sobering number for the UK.
Yeah. Okay, well, on to another note, corporate focus here. We really ought to be beating each other up, actually. Yes. But Standard Chartered, real rap on the knuckles there from the New York regulators. And a lot of people didn't know about it, so it caught everyone by surprise, really shocked the market and their share price in particular. What are the chances that they will have their banking license revoked?
I don't think they will, because I think, as you've seen in the last 2 days, we've had a massive negative against the New York authorities, and even the US authorities are saying, are you focusing too much on one standpoint? And I think another thing that makes it difficult, if you are a global bank, I mean, you can have global clients, and we're talking about this is what, 2005 or 2006. Well, I mean, I don't know, was Iran as negative, in 2005 or 2006? I think one of the things that it does show is a simple fact, and we've been finding this out all along, are the banks too big? And even Sandy Weill, who invented the big bank, is even saying the banks are too big as they are. Do we now see the reintroduction of the Glass-Steagall? And that's what the authorities are looking at, to separate the Main Street banks versus the investment banks. But I think it's quite interesting, because one of the things that we're starting to see, RBS now on that, you had 2 weeks ago the situation with HSBC in reference to money laundering. I think that seems to have far more validity. The Standard Charter, what do they say? They've looked at 300 million emails and only a few thousand of them, and it's only a couple of million.
It seems all a bit too far-fetched.
Yes.
Well, hopefully it won't come to that. And one final thought, Bill, we've had the Olympics, of course, great successes. What's been the highlight for you?
This
is serious?
Female beach volleyball! Go USA!
Excellent. Well, congratulations on winning both silver and gold. And once again, thanks very much, Bill. I won't see you for a couple of weeks, but you'll be looked after by our dealers here.
Enjoy.
Thanks very much.
I'm glad some of us can afford a nice holiday.
Thank you, Bill. That's it, as ever. Thank you.